When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing a personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. The Hurricanes game is over. Time to break it down. It's all about the U. The Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes Postgame Show has made landfall. The postgame show is on the SportsTalk305 Network and broadcasting live from WalkOns Sports Bistro in Kendall. The show is mastered by Sean Stanley and Chad Shobe. Visit WalkOns Sports Bistro in Kendall at 9065 Southwest 162nd Avenue. Enjoy WalkOns authentic and mouthwatering Louisiana cuisine prepared fresh from scratch. Closes daily at midnight, 7 days a week. Here's your hosts, Orlando Alzugaray and Mike McCoy.
All righty, a happy post-game show as the Miami Hurricanes hang on for a victory, and they beat Virginia Tech 20-14. We're coming to you live, of course, from Walk-Ons here in Kendall. Mike McCoy, Big O with you. Sean Stanley driving the program. I guess is it a game that we're satisfied they won, but not necessarily impressed, especially with the second half of the offensive performance?
I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's hard to complain about a win, especially when you are in the middle of a 3-game skid. However, it is nice they got the win. You just wish they would have cleaned up some things in the second half and been more consistent, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Defense kind of slipped a little maybe late in the game. Virginia Tech trying to make a run or, something. It is homecoming for them, or was homecoming for them. They tried to make it a homecoming. But, yeah, Miami's still unbalanced offensively. I guess they stuck with what was working. I was surprised that they had actually 60-plus yards of rushing on the ground in the first half. It didn't feel that way. But you went in there and you did what you were supposed to do. All right, now you clean it up again for next week, coming back to Miami Gardens against a Duke team that you should win. And, you this is how you build. All right, you saw the secondary maybe making a turn last week against a very good passing team. Virginia Tech is not that, so you expected the secondary to dominate. Shouts out to the defensive line. Shouts out to Akeem Mesidor. Had 3.5 sacks as a team. The Canes registered 6. So that defensive line accounted for a couple of coverage sacks. That secondary accounted for a couple of coverage sacks. And so the defense is there. They're looking like their part. But offensively, you really wish for some more balance and some more scoring. Miami only registered a field goal in the second half, and that came in the third quarter.
Well, listen, a game where at least they won, but they've got to do a lot better. And, you start to try to figure this out and maybe they're just, this is who they are. It's how much better can they get? And I think that's where that's the part of it that I think gets tricky, Mike, because a lot of us want to see way better and want to see perfection or want to see, get to an elite level. And unfortunately, I just don't think they have the players to ever get there. So this is what you're going to have. Corey Couch had a brutal mistake towards the end there where he helps keep their drive alive with a late hit. And there's Mario kind of talking to him after the hit. And I'm sure he's kind of, in a nice way reprimanding him.
Right.
And what I was thinking at that moment was, I can tell Mario doesn't have all the people he needs, because if he did, he would tell that kid, stay right there, go to the bench. We're calling the next guy who's just as good or better than you, and I'm not going to tolerate this. And because he just does not have anybody he can count on, really, he has to kind of deal with this. Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's kind of the issue here, that we're kind of in a catch-22 that we want to see something so much better. Yeah. But if we're really honest with ourselves, I don't know if it gets much better than what you have right now until the talent overall, until there's a whole bunch of Mesadors on the team. In other words,
the first thing that came to mind when Corey did that and I saw Cristobal walking his direction was, oh boy, we're going to see a repeat of what happened on that Oregon sideline last season when he ripped into a wide receiver that got a first down and started, celebrating or what have you, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And it could be, to your point, because if he had the guys that he wanted behind him, that's possible. But you're right. We're not going to see what.
Bro, that's a rip job right there. That's a rip job right there for a
100%,
coach. And the player knows that he has to shut the hell up and take it. And he knows he was completely wrong on that. Yeah, and when he didn't do that, I go, well, I know why. I'm seeing a guy that has to adjust to what he has right now, and he just doesn't have enough, Mike. And so he has to tolerate some of this. And so are you. You're also tolerating it too as a fan. But I'm telling you, because that's kind of what's really going on here. I think these are the things that you have to do when you don't have what you need in order to win. And this is what usually happens when you take over a bad program in its first year.
So Mario registers his third win in a Miami Hurricanes uniform as a coach. His first ACC victory. Miami now 3-3 overall, 1-1 in the conference. First away win of the season. Let's talk about what remained good from last week to this week, and that's TVD in the form of 27 of 44, 288,
right?
No interceptions, 2 touchdowns. The passing game looked great. Rashard Smith, 6 catches for 76 yards. There's 3 receivers over 50 yards for the second week in a row. Colby Young, shouts out to him, 9 catches, 61 yards, and a touch. And Frank Latson sniffed 50 yards, 4 catches, 43. And
a touchdown, right?
Frank Latson? 4 catches, 43 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
And so what I didn't like is you saw TVD making these throws. It's like, oh, my God, great. And I was talking with
by the way, Mallory made some catches today.
Yes.
He made a couple of in-traffic catches that I was very, very impressed with Will Mallory. He helped out his quarterback today for sure.
100%. Who didn't help the quarterback out? Is as nice as those numbers look, that O-line needs some work. And I get it. They're working with 2 new starters because although Ja'Kai Clark was available today, he did not start. He didn't see the field. I don't think he got any snaps. So it was Jonathan Dennis starting under center. Oh, not under center, but at the center position. And Logan Sagapolo to his right at right guard, which was replacing Justice Olawashone.
Right.
So that probably has something to do with the O-line struggles. But still, these are 2 guys that you expect to look better than in a unit. They were in Mirabal's system. They came from Oregon. They were Oregon transferred. They followed Mirabal and Cristobal over here. So I got to look at the tape. I'm not necessarily about to call them out and say that they were the problem.
But they
that
didn't do
O-line
well
as a
today.
whole.
They didn't do well today. I mean,
No, the O-line as a whole. I'm talking about those two.
Oh yeah. But I'm just saying it's today. They at least they give them time to pass.
Yeah,
You know,
they did.
more often than not. At
Yes.
least there were some moments, but yeah, I would say that because of the changes, your line wasn't nearly as clean.
No, none.
As it has been, in the recent past.
And then that affected the run game. I mean, again, we're going to have to see what the coaches have to say about it. Was it one of those things that they went with the pass game because it was working, or maybe this was premeditated, coming into the game and he knew where VT's weaknesses were? But still, crystal ball coach team always wants to be balanced. And as I'm pulling up the run game stats now, by the way, speaking of run game, as I pull these stats up, we got to talk about Michigan's performance over a Manny Diaz coached defense. But
rushing, they only had 93 yards today.
93 yards, and they had 61 at the half.
Yep.
So, again, underwhelming performance in the second half from Miami's defense. They only mustered 3 points, and that came in the fashion in the form of a field goal in the third quarter. So Miami got shut out in the fourth in the final stanza, and Virginia Tech made it a one-score game.
Yeah. And well, it also helped that you created some penalties and you made some mistakes on that drive and you gave them a little life, towards the end, and then Miami was able to run it out. But I think that's where you have to kind of measure things, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of those where you want them to be great, but do they really have what it takes to be great? Do they have the players that they need in order to be great? And to me, that's the real problem right now for the Canes. And that's why you're probably going to see football like this throughout the year. And until he turns over this roster, and it's probably going to take 2 more trips of recruiting and NIL and all that other stuff, a transfer portal and all that, in order to kind of get all the players that he needs. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why that's why I kind of got on this horse right away with all of you, because I don't think that's what people are thinking of. They're kind of thinking that this team can get better and better and better. Some people think, and you're, going to challenge Clemson or something like that. I don't think so. I think this is kind of the team that you are. A team that's not going to be perfect. It's going to make mistakes. A team that's not good enough. It just doesn't have enough talent. And then they're going to have to find ways to manufacture wins. And next week, against a team like Duke, while they're better than Duke, I don't expect them to come out here and dominate Duke. Like, today I was kind of foolish. And that's why I'm coming to this point. I was thinking, okay, you should blow these guys out. But the problem is you're just not good enough to be blowing teams out on any kind of thing. You're going to need a bunch of turnovers. You're going to need all kinds of things to happen in order for that to take place.
A complete game.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, if Virginia Tech has a halfway decent quarterback and caught half of their drops, this game is closer.
Yes.
This game is closer.
Yes.
So I said 27-17. The final score was 20-14. And, Miami left. They just, that second half, again, the absence of a running game, I think, is huge. Thank God that, the defense was on point today and they made Virginia Tech play the entire field. Shouts out to Lou Headley for pinning them inside the 20 as many times as he did. But Virginia Tech did punt at last check. It was 7 times, right? So the defense did this thing. Again, the secondary was there. The D-line seems to be the MVP of the season so far, at least defensively, right? And so without that, you got to wonder what happens. But still, a win is a win. You build on it. And this week, you prepare for Duke, a Mike Elko coach team. Been at Notre Dame. He was the offensive line coach in 2017 when Notre Dame came down to Miami to scrimmage in Miami. And so we'll see. They're going to be a well-coached team, and it's not going to be a gimme for Miami at all.
No, there are no gimmies.
No.
Mike, this is not a program at this point that is going to get a gimme from anything whatsoever, unfortunately. And that's what I'm trying to explain to people, that this is going to be a mission to win no matter who you're facing week in and week out. It's not going to be an easy thing in order for the University of Miami to win. A couple of things by the way. First of all, let's go over some of the stats in today's game and some of the team stats. Miami had 20 first downs to Virginia Tech's 18. Miami was 6 of 15 in third down efficiency. Virginia Tech was 4 of 13. And just to give you a little sense of what was going on, Miami was 6 of 9 on third downs, okay, in the half.
Yep.
They ended up 6 of 15. That means they went 0 for 6 on third downs in the second half. And, I had Mike screaming here that the third down offense sucked, which is actually very true. Total yards, 381 for the Canes, 232 for Va Tech. Passing, 288 for the Canes, 157 for Va Tech. Rushing, 93 for the Canes, 75 for Va Tech. Penalties, Miami had 16 penalties for 144 yards. Miami had 8 penalties for 79 yards in the first half. So they didn't learn a damn thing in the first half and committed 8 more penalties in the second half, and they ended up with 144 yards. Like, that's something that I can take it and lay it on the coaches, because penalties happen with athletes a lot of times when they're overmatched. Okay? A guy's taking on somebody else that's much better. Sometimes they overcompensate and they commit penalties. But in a game like this, where the Canes are as good or better than Va Tech, these kind of mistakes are unacceptable. You have to play smarter football, and you're on the road, and you're not a great team. You got to also have an awareness of who you are. And, it's just like what we talked about with Takori Couch. Final drive there in that last touchdown, you just gave them 15 yards with that penalty. And that was just not a smart play. You give them a first down and you give them the 15 yards. You keep the drive alive. You give them life, and then you create these problems for yourself. And that's part of the reason why. And if I can remember what I told you at the beginning of this pregame show. I told you this was a coach's game.
Yeah.
This is the kind of game that the coaches have to win this game outright. And they didn't do it. They hung on for it. And part of the reasons, Mikey, it's 144 yards on 16 penalties, dude. Unacceptable.
I don't know how to counter that. Except that you hope that you learn from it, all right? And that's it. That is it. But again, that comes with lack of experience or identity or whatever the case is, trying to do too much, or the coaches like how you mentioned earlier, the coaches realizing that, you know what, I'm going to have to coddle this guy. I'm going to have to talk to him instead of sit him and teach him a lesson, because what's behind him probably isn't to my liking.
Right.
But whatever the case, I wanted to point out as well. So in the Tuesday press conference earlier this week, Josh Gaddis specifically said we were going to see new faces, guys with new roles. And the one that stood out to me the most was Jacurri Brown, true freshman from Georgia, stepping in a role that you knew he was going to run the ball. But I like that wrinkle, because you know that's going to open up something else some point down the season. You know, everybody's going to expect him, Jacurri Brown is coming into the game, he's going to run. That is setting up a big play later on down the line. You know it's coming. I don't know against who it's coming, but it's definitely going to be something in the playbook at some point later in the season. You saw Inez Cooper for a few snaps in there. There was a lot of guys that normally wouldn't get a lot of snaps that did today, and I get it. There were some guys out. Stevenson was out. Redding was out. But Kobe Young was one of those guys. We saw a lot of Frank Latson today.
I like him.
Yes. You mentioned him a lot. Every time he made a play.
Colby and him are I think they're turning into the go-to guys. By the way, Kobe Young becomes the first receiver of this roster to have a 100-yard game versus a Power 5 opponent. Very, very interesting stat for Kobe Young. But you got to like what you're seeing from Kobe, from Ladson. The receivers didn't look great early on, and they're still not great yet.
No.
But those two guys are starting to show me something. And then Will Mallory, last couple of weeks has been a real anchor for the offense. Again, today he made a couple catches in traffic that I was just so those are big time plays on his part. I was really happy with Will Mallory and the way because he's had so many injuries and inconsistencies, but it's not like he lacks any talent.
No,
you know he can play, and it was really nice to see him step up. But hey, man, congratulations to Kobe Young. That's a nice little stat and a nice way to get things going.
So we didn't see Will Mallory in the second half, and he took a pretty nasty hit in the first quarter. A guy that, he was ejected for the game from targeting whoever this Virginia Tech safety was.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to wonder about his health going into next week. And if
he's had his share of injuries.
Yeah, if he is absent, there's no way you can't tell me that it's not going to affect the passing game.
Oh, for
you
sure.
Finally have a guy step up at that position or receiving period. So you're probably going to be looking at a lot of Dominic Marmarelli, because remember, Arroyo's out for the season, who would be the backup for Mallory. And then, like I said in the pregame, who we didn't see a lot of today, Khalil Brantley. But remember that name, especially if Mallory can't go next week.
I'm with you there. All right, if you want to get in on the Welt and Rayom text line, 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. If you want to get in on the Welt and Rayom text line, you can also reach out to us on Twitter. That's at Big O Show, as always. And by the way, we're out here at WalkOns. They've got game day vodka specials from $5.50 from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. They also have a lot of things going on. They're collecting toys for tots. They've got the Box There karaoke nights start on October 18th. You can come out Latin night with DJ Drock on October 19th, folks. So come on out here to Walk-Ons in Kendall and enjoy, because they've got amazing food, great service, and they're, of course, proud supporters of our program, so we love it. Let's see. Duke is going to be harder to beat. They better beat Tech. They're better than Tech. Yes, you are correct, sir. Let's see. What else? How bad would it be without Tyler Van Dyke? This is a horrible team and not well coached. I
don't completely agree with that.
I mean, well, it might. The one part you can't, without Tyler Van Dyke, it might be tough, but Garcia's actually done a decent job. So maybe Garcia might be maybe Garcia might fit a little more what Gaddis wants to do, actually. You never know.
That was the talk.
Yeah, he might be more of the fit for Gaddis than Tyler Van Dyke. But again, I got to see a little more before I'm saying that this is a horribly coached team, because I still feel like there's a lot of mediocre talent on here. And what I mean by that, because some of the recruiting numbers were terrific overall over the last few years. Pretty good recruiting classes. But I think a lot of these players were probably mislabeled. Or, I don't know, maybe some of them were already ruined from all the crap that happened prior to this. I'm not exactly sure. But I need to see a lot more before I call these guys bad coaches, because Mike just talked about it, how you're already seeing new faces. And so if their players start to take over and then, you start to see a change, then we see a change in coaching. Now, if their players are taking over and the new players are the ones making all the mistakes,
right,
then that's a problem. That's a problem. But I think half a season in, I'm not ready to say, this is a terrible football team or anything like that. When he did a great job at Oregon. He was always a good coach at Oregon. He didn't have the type of talent to beat Alabama. Okay, so I can't, hold that against him. But hell, he was doing way better than anything that was going on in Miami. So for that, I'm going to slow down before I say that these are bad coaches.
I think that a lot of the fan base needs to kind of chill with the knee-jerking, because a terribly coached team doesn't go into Texas A&M and go into the final drive with a chance to tie the game. That's number one. A terribly coached team doesn't forget how to coach from last December to this football season, all right? A terribly coached team. And I say a terribly coached team because Mario brings mirror ball, and that's the chunk of what this team is. 2 offensive line guys are driving this offense, and they won the Pac-12 twice. I don't know, but I'd kill for an ACC championship. I don't know about you guys, but
Yeah, I can use one of those.
Yeah, I think it's very knee-jerk-ish and very irresponsible as a fan to say that they're terribly coached 6 games into the season.
Yeah, I just I'm not going to go in that direction. I think that's a little harsh at this point. I don't think it's worthy. I don't think they deserve to be called bad coaches. I don't think they've earned that right yet, unfortunately. But I mean, listen, if that's your opinions out there, it is what it is.
For sure.
Let's see this. Mark Ardois. I guess that's how it's pronounced. I don't think it's Ardois, but I think it's Ardois. But anyway, he says winning with 16 plus penalties and a ridiculous amount of injuries is a positive. And it's actually, he's right.
Very good. Very good point.
But having said all that, 16 penalties is unacceptable.
It shouldn't happen.
And you know, and now it hasn't been a norm for this team. It's not like every game they're committing. It's only been a couple games where they've had a little too many penalties. But I get what you're saying. If this was Clemson and they did that and won, I'm with you. If this is Ohio State and they did that and won, in Alabama, yeah, if you're an elite team in college football and you didn't have a great day, but you had penalties and injuries and you won still, then yeah, I'm going to go with that. But when you're not a good program, when your team hasn't shown a lot of discipline at times all over the field, I've got to pick on you for 16 penalties. I have no choice.
No, I get it. And that's one of those things that you do. And to your point, that really hasn't been an issue in the first 5 games of the season.
Yeah, it's only I believe it's only one other game out of this one that you might have said, okay, a little too many penalties.
Right.
And that's about it. It might have been last week, actually, or the week before.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was recently, because the first couple games, they were clean. Yeah, even in losses, they were actually clean. Yes.
They were pretty clean. But no, good point, Mr. Ardois. Apologies if I'm butchering your last name there, but he's 100% right. And listen, for the past 3 weeks, the Canes have found ways how to lose. Today, they found a way to win. They hung on, and Virginia Tech made it tight at the end. However, with all 3 points that the Canes scored in the second half, that defense held up, and it seems like that's gonna be what this team has to hang their hat on for the rest of the season. Here and there, you're gonna have TVD killing it with the 500-yard games or the 300-plus yard games, and hopefully he's close to what he looked like last season, where he tore it up 6 games in a row, throwing for 350-plus and 3 touchdowns every one of those games. But Miami needs balance. They have to have balance, because last year Miami was the worst team in the ACC rushing, towards the bottom half of the category nationally. You're not going to sniff Charlotte in December if you can't run the ball. Because I don't care how good you are passing, if you're predictable, that is not a recipe for success.
I'm with you. We are awaiting Mario Cristobal addressing the Meteors. We're also waiting for Manny Navarro, also from the locker room. So we'll talk to Manny. We'll get the latest on what's going on with the Canes in the locker room. We'll get his thoughts on the victory. And we'll go over some of that stuff. If you want to get in on the program, of course, you can reach out to us on the YouTube chat board. You can reach out also on the Welt and Rayom text line at 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056 on the Welt and Rayom text line. And give you some of the other stats that we have going on in the game. Time of possession, Miami edged Vatek 27-52 to 26-06. At halftime, by the way, time of possession, Miami was 15-40 and Vatek 14-20. So it was kind of even. It stayed kind of even throughout. Vatek lost the turnover battle 1-0, which was the fumble lost on that. Was it the punt return? Was it the kid dropped it on the punt return, and then Miami was able to capitalize on that. Now, individually, if we go through the game, Tyler Van Dyke, 27 of 44, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Franklin, 4 rushes, 24 yards. Knighton, 9 for 24. Brown, 2 for 22. Stanley, 3 for 20. And Van Dyke, 4 rushes, 3 yards. Obviously, scrambling and sacking, all that good stuff. 22 rushes, 93 yards as a team. Receiving, they had 288 yards. And in that game, let's see what else. Wells for Vatek, 19 of 31, 157 yards and a touchdown. Thomas, 6 receptions, 43 yards and a touchdown. And you were worried about certain guys that could hurt you. Well, the Vatek receivers did not hurt you overall. That was pretty good. And you were worried about one specific guy, and that guy did not hurt you.
That one guy, Caleb Smith, 3 catches, 26 yards, his long of 10. I'm not sure how much he was targeted, but still, in the grand scheme of things, when you throw for 157 yards and you're playing from behind, again, shout out to that defense. And listen, Miami did what they were supposed to do today. They beat a team that they were supposed to beat. And on the road, that's got to be good for your confidence, right? Especially when the other big-time road game this season, you had a chance to tie it on the last drive, and you came up short. So you come home, another ACC foe is going to be a very well-coached team. Again, Mike Elko, he knows how to get things done on the ground. And so Miami's run defense will be tested next week. And so we got to see how to step up. And injuries, that's a big part. We're going to see how many guys come back from injury. Tyreek Stevenson wasn't missed this week. And I get it. Virginia Tech's offense wasn't anything to write home about.
Yeah, but there was one receiver that you were kind of nervous about, and you'd like to have Tyreek there, and yet you're right. He wasn't missed. And kudos. It's kind of what we talked about last week, that they were showing signs of life in the second half. And if there's something that you got to say, the secondary actually played pretty well today. And overall, I mean, we really can't – I mean, this guy Wells, he's not a great passer, but he only passed for 157 yards, and their top receiver had 43 yards. Secondary did their job. I mean,
and the secondary dropped what looked like at least 2 interceptions? 3 interceptions? Yeah.
I think 3 interceptions they dropped today. Yeah,
so that's a good and bad thing because you should be catching them.
Right. It wasn't a clean – again, I don't think we're going to get a lot of these clean games where Miami comes out, plays perfect practically, and drills the other team and routs them and all that. I just don't know if they have that kind of talent. In fact, I'm convinced that they don't have that kind of talent on this team right now.
Until they put one game together like that, whether it's a complete game, because we haven't seen a complete game from Miami. We haven't seen special teams.
Not even against bad teams.
Yeah. We haven't seen special teams. We haven't seen the offense. We haven't seen the defense get off the field consistently when they're supposed to on third downs. Because even today, as good as Miami's defensive performance was, there were several times that you're thinking third and long, okay, great. And Virginia Tech converted. And it was frustrating to see because, like I said, the defense was playing well. The defensive line shouts out again. I see everybody in the chat mentioning Mesidor. Again, 3.5 sacks for the West Virginia transfer. I think he has 2 more years under his belt here, or at least this one and another one at the very least. So shout out to him again.
Yeah, well, that guy's only going to be here at least maybe 1 more year after that. He gone.
He gone.
So if he happens to have 2 more years, like you said, he gone. If he's playing like this and it's going to roll over into next year, then there's really no reason for him to stick around. Another year. And go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was saying chase that bag.
Yeah, I mean that's what you should do. Why not take advantage? I mean, this is a player that definitely he's showing you something. That's for sure. 3.5 sacks today. It's a hell of a player. Move Colby Young to tight end and make wide receiver 12 as a primary receiver.
I don't know about that. You're finally getting a guy consistent at the position. I think you got to stick with that.
I don't even know if he can play tight end anyway.
We don't know if he could block, and I get it. Mallory's not a great blocker, but he is 6'5", 240 plus. Colby Young, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I like the idea, but how about just spreading it out, spreading the ball around more? And that's what TVD's been doing, especially with X being out.
Exactly.
He has been spreading the ball more a lot. So, like I said, I like the idea. Maybe in certain packages, maybe when Ja'Cory Brown is in there to run the ball, you kind of throw the defense off and, line them up a little bit tight, but exclusively tight end, now that would be a bad coaching move.
Yep, I'm with you there. If you want to reach out to us, remember 855-912-1056 on the Welt and Rayom text line. You can always also reach out here on the YouTube chat board. Ken says, with the injuries and some poor play, Mario is going to be forced to play the young guys more. And unfortunately, that while it's bad, maybe it's better.
Yeah.
Because now you start the development. Now you start to turn the page. You can at least play guys for several games and find out what they are all about, find out what they're made of, those kind of things. And let me tell you something. In a way, Ken, when you start playing those young guys, it starts sending a message to the guys that lost their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They might not stick around. That opens up a scholarship for you. So indirectly, it becomes something that's a negative inside the room or the locker room, but it turns into a positive for the coaches because you're now finding out about the new guys and you're getting rid of the old guys too in the process, because those old guys know that if they sit on the bench, they're not going anywhere. So they're going to want to transfer to go play somewhere.
Right. The only thing is Mario's not going to play guys if they're not ready. They're not ready. Everybody, where's Colby Young been? I bet you he wasn't ready.
Right.
I bet you he wasn't ready. So, look, the season is still in a balance. It's not like if, Miami's not going to a bowl game. You don't want to give it away by playing guys that aren't ready. They're talented. Are they ready? Those are two different things.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, one guy, J.R. Rivera, going, play those young bucks. And that can happen. Tennessee leading Alabama 21-7, 4 minutes left.
Bryce Young's playing.
In the fourth quarter, yeah. First quarter, I'm sorry. First quarter. First quarter. 3:59 left in the first quarter. Yep. That Hendon Hooker, bro, he is 3 drives, 3 touchdowns for Tennessee. Yeah. Oh, good old Rocky Top. Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Josh Heupel.
Yes.
Remember him?
Yeah.
Tossing the ball around Oklahoma, so he knows how to run an offense. He was at UCF when, UCF was winning national titles, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if I would call tossing the ball, Josh Heupel's arm is
oh, no. I mean, in that offense. Didn't he win a Heisman?
Let me give you a Josh Heupel story.
Okay.
So Josh Heupel gets drafted by the Dolphins.
Oh, God.
So I'm at camp covering the Dolphins, right? And we have a bunch of injuries in camp. Josh Heupel is the only quarterback left in camp.
Mm.
So the second they draft him and we see him, we're like, is that his arm? Because it was a bad arm, dude, really. So Rick Spielman was our GM at that time for the Dolphins. So he was still pretty young in those days. So Rick Spielman comes out of the general manager office with shorts on and starts throwing the ball around.
Oh, no.
So he's the second quarterback in practice. Oh, yes. He had a better arm than the guy he drafted.
No. Oh, no.
That's what happened. By the end of the practice, we're like, yo, Rick Spielman has a better arm than the guy he drafted.
That's terrible. That's embarrassing.
Like, Josh Heupel's arm sucked. Like, it was an arm that, I don't know, if you had to throw a 20-yard out pattern, he would have to throw that ball 8 weeks before the game was played. Okay?
Oh, boy. The funny thing is he doesn't even look like a former quarterback now. He looks like an offensive lineman they grew.
Well, he threw like a punter. Okay? He threw the ball like a punter.
Oh, my God.
No, seriously. It was like, wow, that's not an NFL arm. Like, yeah,
they drafted him?
You know how we got these people like, oh, Tua's got a noodle arm. Like, no, this is a noodle arm. Like, you idiots that called Tua a noodle arm, you don't know what noodle arm is.
Oh, man.
Josh Heupel, that, my friends, is a noodle arm. I'm telling you that his arm might be slightly better than mine.
Damn.
Might be slightly better.
And it got drafted in what round?
Like he was like a 7th round pick or
Jesus.
something. It's one of those project quarterbacks. But when you see him after, you're like, it was one of those. And then Rick Spielman ends up with a better arm than him. That's like bad. And I'm sure Rick's dropping back going, damn, I screwed up in this draft. I should have drafted myself. I would have been a better draft pick for myself than actually that guy. So,
can we talk about?
So it's good that he can coach it because he can't sling it.
Yeah. No, for sure. You got to be good at something, right?
Yes.
But can we please talk about that Michigan-Penn State game? Can we please get into that?
Sure, why not? Anything where we make fun of Manny Diaz, I'm all in for.
So, if you guys weren't paying attention, there was a top 10 matchup going on today in the Big House at Michigan. And you know what? I hate that the Canes had a 12:30 kickoff because this is a game I really wanted to pay attention to.
Why didn't you just record it and then go home and watch it and just laugh at Manny Diaz?
I have a Fire Stick. I don't have like the DVR type thing. I got a Fire Stick. So until they start making Fire Sticks, they can record. Or maybe they do and I don't have it yet. But in any event, 41,
if you have a Fire Stick that can record, please reach out to Mike McCoy.
Right? Please do. Please.
Okay.
41-17. Michigan holds in the Big House, all right, against number 10 visiting Nittany Lions. But this is the stat of the day. Not that Michigan kicked Penn State's ass, put 41 points on Manny Diaz's defense. That's not the stat either.
No. What is the stat?
The stat of the game is the amount of rushing yards that the Nittany Lions defense yielded on the road. You want to take a stab at it, though?
How many? 600, 500, 300?
A grand total of 418 rushing yards on the ground for the Wolverines. And here's a cherry on top. 2 of those running backs eclipsed 165 yards.
That's beautiful.
Both of those running backs scored twice on the ground. How much do you miss Manny's defense?
That is
How
beautiful.
much do you miss that run defense? This is the Manny I've been waiting for. And listen, I was a Manny Diaz backer. I took a lot of L's backing him for a long time. I really did. I was one of the last guys to switch over and say, I can't watch anymore. Can't take it anymore. And it really wasn't for the stuff on the field. It was for the stuff off the field because there were too many things that I couldn't defend that he was accountable for off the field, guys. Yes, I got stories. Yes, I know people. Yes, I talked to the people. And the things that he was letting slide were worthy of getting fired.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh, God. How many missed tackles?
The missed tackles were just, I'm sure today, in honor of his consistently bad defenses, they probably missed a crap ton of tackles.
Here's another question. Did they even adjust to – because that's what Manny was good for. You guys remember that UNC game 2 years ago, and they scored again where they totaled like 800 yards of offense and like 500 on the ground. They were running the same play. It was the same play over and over and over and over, and that was just disgusting to watch. So that's the thing with Manny Diaz defense. Yes, he'll get to you. They're aggressive. He'll make your quarterback, on passing downs, he'll rattle him. But don't get a good O-line against them and, rushing the ball. And once he gets exposed, that's it. It's over. So we'll see what the rest of the season looks like defensively.
How many yards was it again?
418. Let me double check. Let me go back. And 2 of those running backs went over $165, and both of them had 2 touchdowns. So here it is right now. Box score. Michigan ran for 418 yards. 7.6 a pop.
418?
418. And get this. Not only did both running backs score twice, both of those running backs had longs of 60+. That's terrible.
That is fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
so that happened.
That's what I call that fantastic. That's what I call that.
That woof, man. So that's happening. Still 21-7 over on CBS. If you guys are watching, number 6 Tennessee hosting the Crimson Tide. And remember, Bryce Young is playing. There was talk that he wasn't going to play, but he is playing. And so that's interesting. He probably is not 100%. I'm wondering if he's limited, what it is. He's 6 of 12 right now for 79 yards. And Jahmyr Gibbs, which is probably one of the best. No, not probably. He is one of the best running backs in the country. 8 carries, 28 yards. So the Volunteer defense is doing their thing. And get this, Virginia Tech may be so bad that they made Hendon Hooker look like a terrible quarterback because he's killing it for the Volunteers right now.
Yeah, he is. Big time.
97 yards, 6 of 7 so far today, 2 touchdowns, and they're moving the ball right now. No, Bama has the ball, sorry.
All right, we're still waiting to see if we get Mario Cristobal's press conference, and hopefully we'll be talking to Manny Navarro shortly. Let's take a quick break here. Give us 2 minutes, and we'll be back here on the Miami Hurricanes, the Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes Postgame Show, live from WalkOns in Kendall.
You're listening to the home for hardcore Miami Hurricanes coverage. This is the Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes Postgame Show, live from Walk-On Sports Bistro in Kendall, with Orlando Alzugaray and Mike McCoy on the SportsTalk305 Network.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com. When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com. You're locked into the only platform truly dedicated to South Florida sports. This is the MyEdgeDrink.com Miami Hurricanes postgame show, live from Walk-On Sports Bistro in Kendall on the SportsTalk305 Network. Here's your hosts, Orlando Alzugaray and Mike McCoy.
There we go. All right, we are back here. And come on out and join us at Walk-Ons in Kendall. We are out here for all of the Hurricanes games. We got a schedule out and everything there. And next week we'll be here, by the way, at 10:30 in the morning. Well, they open at 11, so you can't get in here at 11. I mean, at 10:30. But we'll start the broadcast at 10:30. We can wave at you till 11 a.m., and then they'll allow you in. But no, seriously, next week, The Duke game starts at 12:30, so come on out, get your seats. We'll have all the giveaways. We'll have a good time, man, like we did today. Gave away some really nice Perdomo lighter and cigar cutter and a Perdomo hat. And also gave away gift certificates from Caneswear. And we also gave away walk-on prize packs, too, that had a gift certificate, a coolie, and a T-shirt. How about that? So that's kind of cool. So we've got all of that going on for you. So, of course, please come on out and join us. And next week, we expect Edge Energy Drink to be here, and they are going to be serving up some free Edge. So you can actually try the finest energy drink on the planet. You will definitely love it, man. It is absolutely awesome. 418 yards by Manny Diaz, huh?
Listen, man, that's just, again, this is something that
is awesome.
He was fired from Texas because Mac Brown said, I've had enough, after I forgot who it was that ran for like 500 yards, 600 yards in a game on him. That was the thing when he became a head coach. It was just a running defense, and he wouldn't adjust.
Oh, we know that very well.
Yeah. And it
we
was
know
just
that very
only
well.
A matter of time until I saw that. There it is.
I don't do it too much, but I gave up on Manny after the first year.
Whew. Hey man, look, I don't blame you. And you want to know what? He did a lot of things right.
There were a lot of stupid things, but his coaching, his teams were never prepared.
They weren't. He wasn't ready.
Never adjusted, and it was just
he wasn't ready.
Yeah, he wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready. And the thing is,
he should have stayed in Temple.
For sure. What took me so long to get off the Manny bandwagon was because he tried. He did. Remember, offensive coordinator wasn't working. Well, actually, what was the thing? Miami needed a certain type of a quarterback developer because John Richt was a quarterback coach under Mark Richt, and he was a terrible quarterback coach. What does Manny do? You go and get the quarterback coach from Alabama.
Right.
Dan Enos. Oh, my God, problem solved. I was a fan of that move, right? Didn't work out after however long Enos was here, a year or two, whatever it was. You get a spread guy in, what's his name? Rhett Lashley, and it worked out great.
He did great.
At least for that first season, a COVID year. Miami had, 8-9 wins, whatever it was.
No, he did a good job overall, man. Yeah. I thought it was, and he got the max out of Van Dyke.
Got the max out of Van Dyke.
Van Dyke had a hell of a year.
And Manny was
now he's getting his ass kicked at SMU, but that's a whole different ball game.
And Manny killed the portal. Look, he got the Jalen Phillips.
That's where he did well, actually.
Yeah.
Very well. Because he didn't do good enough in recruiting. He wasn't a good enough coach. His assistant coaches weren't good enough. But I got to give him credit. In the portal, Manny knocked it out several times, dude. Several times. Very impressed with Manny in that sense.
And so it was hard. But, the main thing, and as we wait for Manny, I'm just kind of thinking about the main thing I want to.
We're waiting for Mario, please.
I'm sorry, Mario.
I was about to leave right now.
Manny Navarro.
Oh, Manny Navarro. Okay.
And if we get the postgame, great. That'll be awesome. But one of the things I want to ask him about is what went to the second half offensive disappearance for Miami, because I'm looking at the first half notes right now offensively, and Miami totaled 302 yards of offense in the first half. 241 of that was through the air, right? And who else? There was another stat here that I thought was worthy of bringing up. Obviously, we know that Logan Sacapolo and Jonathan Dennis made their first starts as Hurricanes. Mallory had 62 first-half receiving yards. I'm wondering if the lack of a pass catcher had something to do with the offensive woes, because Mallory's backup right now is Dominic Mammarelli. He's a strictly 100% blocking tight end, right? And there's good and bad at that, because a blocking tight ends in the game, guess what? The last thing the defense is thinking is they're going to throw at him. So maybe at some point, Gaddis is going to have to think, I'm going to have to throw at that guy, and the defense is not going to expect it. But if that had something to do with the offensive, backpedal, for lack of a better phrase, in the second half, that's not good either. And that's, and I get it, there's a lot of injuries. Mark made a good point earlier. a bunch of penalties. You're doing this on the road, homecoming with injuries and penalties. Listen, I'm not complaining about the win. I'm not complaining about the win. But we're here to look at all angles, and that's what we're doing.
Yep, exactly. I'm with you there, man. If you want to get in, 855-912-1056 on the Welt and Rayom text line. That's 855-912-1056 on the Welt and Rayom text line. And, of course, you can reach out to us here on the YouTube chat board. If you got any questions, you can send them in. Will Tua be on the sideline tomorrow? I think so. I think he'll be dressed because he's cleared protocol. Yeah, he'll be street clothes for sure. That's what I figured. Yeah. So I would think so. For those of you that don't know, Tua was cleared and so was Teddy.
So who's starting? Skyler?
Skyler, yeah. Skyler got all the work. So they're going with Skyler. Tua's not going to play till next week.
Okay.
Next week he'll start, and then Teddy will go back to backing him up, and then that's it. And then they'll move on, and hopefully Tua will get rid of the damn football, which would be nice. Which would be really nice.
I think it's a good idea as we wait for Mario/Manny, Manny/Mario, to look at what Duke did this week. Were they off?
No.
I'm going to go ahead and look that up.
No, they're playing. They're playing at night tonight, right? 8 o'clock, 7:30 or something like that. 7. Yeah, UNC tonight.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's at 8 o'clock.
The team you played last week plays the team you play next week.
Okay, that's funny.
Okay.
So looking
that's basically what's going on.
That is technically what's going on.
Yeah,
and so looking at Duke so far throughout the year, obviously these stats are current. They're averaging 32 points a game. They're averaging 32 points a game. On average, they are actually third downs, 38%. Not so hot of a third down offense. Again, another situation for Miami's third down defense to look good. How many times have you seen it that Miami is ready to get off the field, third down, and they just don't for whatever reason? It's very discouraging. But Duke as a team, 28 of 73 on the season so far. They have passed for 1,355 yards, 7.8 of completion. They average 225 through the air, and they average 190 on the ground. I'm telling you, Mike Elko likes to run the ball, and so Miami's going to be tasked with that. It's going to be a battle of two strengths, run game versus run defense. Miami's run defense is not – they're in the top 50 of college football in terms of defending the run. So we'll see how they defend that.
Ken is asking, Big O, do I like the wrinkle with Curry, and agree with Mike that Curry might get a chance to set up the big play in the pass or in the run in the Wildcat? Well, I mean, obviously he's a factor because it helps you, and it's helped him already a couple times by him doing that. And listen, I like the fact that they stay creative with all of that. You don't have a running quarterback, bro. So, yeah, I get that. All right, we got Manny Navarro ready to go. All right, it is time for our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes postgame report.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Back, Manny Navarro in Blacksburg, ready to join us after the Canes, I guess, hung on for a 20-14 win. Manny, is that what we call it? They hung on for the win.
Hung on for dear life, pretty much. I mean, that was not the kind of finish that you wanted after a 20-0 start to this game, but it shows you again that what kind of team this is. You know, I think they're a 6-6, 7-5 football team right now.
You know, Manny, I was talking about this after the game because at the beginning of the game, you know, I bet the over 46.5, and I'm thinking, okay, this is a game where they get on track and the offense plays well, and you know, Virginia Tech's offense is not that good, so this could be one of those games where you can blow them out and all that. And then you see the score and you see the game and you see 16 penalties for 144 yards, all these kind of things. And really, the conclusion for me for this team this year is this is a team that what you saw is what you're going to get. They're going to battle, they're going to scratch and claw, and it's going to be a mission no matter what game they play, no matter who they play, because they're just not good enough to really blow almost anybody out overall. They're a team that's just got to fight in every game just to stay alive or possibly win it.
Yeah, and I think mentally, it's one of those things where I think there's just they're not the kind of team that can survive a lot of injuries, right? I mean, Zion Nelson's played in 2 games this year. That offensive line just hasn't looked right all year, and it's easy to just sort of say, oh, forget it. You got other guys that are going to step in, but no, I mean, there's just not a lot of great offensive linemen on this team, and I really felt like after the Texas A&M game, being physical, it's almost like their bodies, they're not willing to do it, and guys are beat up. Ja'Kai Clark made the trip, but he's beat up. He was basically here in an emergency type role. Justice Oluwaseun didn't make the trip. Henry Parrish has been dealing with stuff. His body's beat up. So, you're not going to be at your best without several key players. And that's the thing. This Miami team isn't deep, right? I mean, we knew that coming in. And there's certain positions where clearly the additions that Mario made through the transfer portal, and Akeem Mesidor, a Colby Young, you could see right off the bat, these guys are like their best players. And they just got here. So what does that tell you about what Mario inherited, right? So to me, it is what it is. They were a 7-5 team last year. They're probably the same team this year.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me, Mikey.
So, Manny, thanks for joining us, man. Nice backdrop there you got going on.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm reaching at straws, and I think I am, but I want to get your opinion. Maybe it was brought up in the postgame. Mallory takes a hit. We don't see him in the second half. He was clutch, making some nice catches and everything like that. Did that have anything at all to do with Miami's disappearance offensively in the second half? Because after the first half, it looked like they were going to eclipse 30.
Yeah, I definitely think so, because, that was one thing that team to do against Virginia Tech was really take advantage that they can't cover the tight end. And they were giving big plays to tight ends. Now you got
it's breaking up on them.
Connection still?
Yeah, we're having some connection issues there. We're having some connection issues. Wait a minute. Are you back?
I'm back.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, start the answer again.
My answer is that, the tight ends had been taking advantage of Virginia Tech's defense for several weeks. It wasn't just Miami. Pittsburgh did it a couple of weeks ago. Last week, same thing. I just think, Miami came into this game with a solid game plan. And the moment Will Mallory went out, you had to count on a true freshman to kind of do the things that he was doing. You saw Skinner drop the ball right over the middle that Mallory would have had. And I think overall, again, you got to give Virginia Tech's defense credit. They were able to put pressure. They were taking advantage of a very mediocre offensive line. And so that's why things fizzled out in the second half.
Injuries, what do we know, my brother? Mallory, some of the other guys that got banged up, what do you know? And by the way, Mallory made a couple of catches in traffic that were just absolutely just star-studded catches, man. I was really happy for the kid, but he got banged up. So what do you got for us?
Well, I asked Cristobal after the game how bad it was, and he doesn't seem to think it's serious for Will. Said the same thing about the other guys who exited today. How honest is Mario honestly being about injuries anymore? I don't know. Okay, we were told Tyreek Stevenson was going to be fine. He didn't say anything about Henry Parrish missing this game. So, look, I covered Butch Davis when he was here. Butch wasn't very truthful.
Would lie to his mom. But Butch Davis would lie to his mom. I mean, that's not a good example there. I mean, at the late great Mad Dog, as he would say, I wouldn't trust Butch Davis if his tongue was notarized.
Yeah, well, right then and there, that you said it all. So we really don't know how banged up this team is. I didn't get a chance to see Will leaving the locker room. But
Hey, don't
I'm
feel
gonna take
bad.
Mario's word for it.
Mike McDaniel, by the way, told us that Byron Jones was going to be ready and everything was going well and all that. And here we are 6 weeks later, the season's in, and no Byron Jones. So they're all Pinocchios, bro, at this time when it comes to injuries.
Yep.
Well, at least that's, and you're right. Give Virginia Tech credit because they do what they had to do. But at least we know that Mallory had at least a little bit to do, especially with that probably being the game plan coming in, knowing Virginia Tech's, defense had a hard time covering tight ends coming into the game. But still, did any mention about the lack of balance and running game? Because I don't have the stat in front of me, but Miami didn't even, I think, 93 yards on the ground.
Yeah, it was
Miami
bad.
registered.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, 2 weeks in a row, is it one of those things that they, like last week, they saw what was working and decided to ride with it? Or was Virginia Tech bottling it up?
Didn't get a chance to ask Mario too many questions. A lot of media, local media here and so forth. I think I got in my question about the health of Mallory, which I thought was a priority, just to see his reaction. And then to ask about Colby Young, who obviously had a great game. So, unfortunately, not enough opportunities to ask questions about specific game plans and why they didn't run the ball much at all in the fourth quarter. But look, they got the win. They did what they had to do.
Yeah.
I think it's obvious. They've basically abandoned the running game because they can't run. And it's just one of those deals where you ride what you can ride. Mario's trying to win games with the best players he has. And I think right now you just got to assume that they don't have a whole lot of confidence in the horses that they brought with them.
Oh, they couldn't have any confidence in the passing game in the second half either, brother. I mean, God, they shut them down too. They didn't really put up any points in the second half. That was
I mean, but again, this is what happens when you're playing with Mario. Was happy to mention to us how he was missing 2 starting running backs. He was missing three starting receivers, 3 offensive linemen. Like he brought all that up. He was very prepared to inform us that there were key guys out for him today after the game. So
we could argue that the receivers that are playing now are better than the ones that are out anyway. So I don't know.
That's true. That's true. Look, I'll say this. So again, I think the problem is we all believed, based on the 5-1 finish last year, that this team was going to be good enough to win the division this year because the Coastal wasn't that great. And maybe they could have if they would have had Colby Young playing earlier against North Carolina. But it's the same team. It's the same level of talent. You have added a Colby Young, you've added an Akeem Mesidor, and you've added a Henry Parrish, essentially. Those are the 3 big additions to this roster so far. Everything else has been the same group of guys.
Go ahead, Mikey. What do you got?
No, nothing. You're right. I mean, now the attention turns to Duke, who they are playing a team that Miami probably played good enough to win, depending on who you ask. But Mike Elko coach team, going to be a well-coached team. Mike Elko likes to run the ball. Duke is not bad running the ball. Miami's not bad defending the run. So I think it's going to be a matchup of 2 strengths. And health is going to be a huge issue going into that game. And I'm just hoping to see more balance from Miami. But if it's not, it sucks to be predictable.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think this is it. This is the team you're going to get the rest of the season. Because even when you get guys back, assuming you get guys back, I mean, you've seen them when they've been healthy. What's the difference? Right? They still couldn't really run the ball.
Right.
So, look, this is what it is. Like, if you're a Miami fan, and I get it, you're disappointed. You wanted Mario to come in here. You think he's going to squeeze more juice out of this orange, but he can only squeeze so much. And think about this, all right, for the people criticizing Mario right now. What if he didn't get Colby Young and Akeem Mesidor and Henry Parrish? Where would this team be now?
I don't even want to hear that, bro. No.
It makes too much sense, all right? I mean, that's all I'm doing is spewing sense here.
Well, listen, dude, when you're wrong, right? And like I said at the beginning of this game, I thought, okay, this is the game that, okay, you can blow them out and comfortable. And then by the end of the game, I'm going, you know what? I'm an idiot. This team is what they are, bro. It's just going to be pulling teeth for them every week. They're just not good enough, smart enough, whatever it is. But I give them credit, at least. At least they're playing hard. At least I'm not watching guys, give up at the moment or anything like that. But it's such a flawed team. And you made the point of this entire interview. You look at the guys that are playing now. These are the guys that Mario just brought in, and these are your better players. That tells you all you need to know. It also tells you that a lot of the rankings the last couple of years really sucked too.
Oh, I've been saying it for a long time that, and
Yes.
people in Miami get pissed off at me when I say this. Miami-Dade and Broward County is very overhyped. Outside of the elite kids, the elite kids, okay, the guys that are top 100 recruits, the majority of the kids that leave South Florida and go to Power 5 schools don't have success. And I don't know if it's because they're not prepared correctly. Just go and look. I've done the research myself over the years and written stories on it. So have others. So has Gabby. Gabby's written this in the past. I just think they're very overhyped. And unfortunately, you get these high expectations for these kids and then they don't deliver, which is why I think it's a good thing that Mario's recruiting class, the first real recruiting class that he's putting together, has a lot of variety, kids from all over the country. I mean, look, Akeem Mesidor is your best defensive player. They got him out of West Virginia. He's originally from Canada. Okay, he's not a South Florida kid. Colby Young, he's from New York. Okay, they got him out of Lackawanna Junior College. Tyler Van Dyke's from Connecticut.
They play football in New York?
Exactly.
Yeah, Binghamton, New York, brother. Okay,
Wow. Binghamton. Don't they play just basketball over there?
That's what he was doing most of his life, playing basketball.
Okay. That would make sense.
And then somebody said, "Son, your jumper's not good enough. Come out here and play receiver for us." Mm-hmm. So, look, man, the bottom line is, like, Miami had one guy drafted last year. One guy. Like, what are we doing here?
By the way, the guy that rushed for 300 yards against Vatek last week, you know where he's from?
South Florida?
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn. Look at that.
Okay. All right. Just a little Israel Abenakanda or whatever the hell that guy's name is. The dude's from Brooklyn, New York.
Just like Stephen McGuire back in the day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. McGuire was from Brooklyn?
Yes.
I did not know that. That's pretty good.
I remember that.
By the way, Hurricane 24Q on the text is asking you, Manny, if he thinks the body language on the team changed in the second half.
Well, I did think they got a little bit tight, right? Like, I think it was pretty easy to tell when they lost.
I think they got down because they got like they were starting to get stopped all the time now, and it wasn't the second half wasn't as easy. Probably they got humbled a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think there was a little bit of, hey, we're missing a few key guys. We're getting all these penalties. The momentum is picking up for the other guys. So there was a little bit of tightness. But in the end, look at the guys who made the big plays for them. It's the guys that aren't scared of the moment, that are probably NFL caliber type players. So, look, they're just going to have to ride Tyler and hope that him and Colby Young can make beautiful music together the rest of the year.
I just got one thing to make all of this, maybe for you, because we talked about it before you got on. Michigan, Penn State. We all know who runs the defense at Penn State.
Yeah.
418 yards on the ground for Michigan. Two running backs for Michigan ran over 200. They both had 2 touchdowns. They both had runs of 60 yards. So
you mean he faced a real offense?
There you go. So
one without Josh Gaddis.
Damn.
Maybe. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't have nothing else for you, Manny. Miami, they did what they were supposed to do. Ugly, whatever. They got the win. Hopefully it translates. And so we'll see next week, man.
What are you working on there, Manny? Tell us.
Well, I'll do my takeaways from today's game, which, I think it's going to harp quite a bit on the guys who are making plays for Miami now, and that maybe we should take this as a positive sign that at least the guys Mario's bringing in are helping him win.
Yeah. Eventually, it's you and I talked about this earlier in the week. When I'm watching that kid for the Dolphins that we got from Oregon, I also think you need to see that. I think you need to see the Javon Holland type of character in that locker room, and then that's going to change, because then Manny will have guys that will be policing the locker room also for him and the rest of the coaches. And I don't, listen, back in the day, these guys used to party and they were crazy and all that kind of stuff. But those guys were disciplined enough to police themselves, to be great. And that's something that's lost in this program now. They don't have enough leaders that are going to check everybody and demand from everybody, because until you develop great leaders, those leaders can't go and demand more from others. And that's like a combination you just don't have in that locker room right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think certainly the leadership from the players, and then I would just say in general, like the talent level. It's just there's certain guys that are just not, shouldn't be playing at the great old Miami. Like, how many of the guys on this roster right now would play for the 2001 Hurricanes? Ask yourself that question.
Mesidor? I don't know. Kobe, I haven't seen enough of him, but he's
TBD.
TBD? Yeah, definitely. TBD for sure.
Mallory would probably be the third tight end behind Winslow and Shockey, right?
Yeah, he's good, but you've had better tight ends. You're right.
How many offensive linemen even see the field?
Maybe Jalen Rivers. Not starting.
I like Parrish as a backup.
I like Parrish.
Who do you start on defense besides Mesidor? Who can you put in there on defense?
Nobody.
Oh no,
I haven't seen
that 11 is fixed. Oh God,
DJ Ivy all day, says Sean. Okay, all right.
No, that 11 is fixed, and maybe James Williams with backing up.
But we haven't seen enough of James Williams either. He's like a freakish talent and all that stuff,
right?
But we still haven't seen enough.
We haven't seen him pop enough.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? But you're right. I mean, he's the intriguing one that you say, wow, look at physically. He's already on the all-runway team. The question is, can the plane take off? And, and Mesidor looks like he's taken off. But I don't know, that's a good one. Yeah, there's not a lot, man. There's not a lot of guys. I mean,
that's my argument to everybody who says they should be doing better.
Right, exactly. Because at one point or another, Michael Barrow was your backup before he became the stud and the starter. You know what I'm saying? And so that kind of happens throughout that entire roster back in the day, that the great players were backups before they became starters.
But you still saw things out of them because they were in blowouts or they were in on special teams, and you said, "Oh my God, look at the hit this guy made."
Amen. Yeah. Amen. You're right about that. All right, Manny. Safe travels, my friend. Thank you as always. We will catch up on Tuesday night, man.
Yes.
For the Gridiron Roundtable. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. Take care.
You got it. There you go. Manny Navarro and our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes postgame reports.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CFs, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
You're listening to the home for hardcore Miami Hurricanes coverage. This is the Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes postgame show. Live from WalkOns Sports Bistro in Kendall with Orlando Alzugaray and Mike McCoy on the SportsTalk305 Network.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843. 4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Hey guys, this is Hayden Hurst, NFL tight end. I'm partnering today with Red Recover. We're going to run you guys through some drills. I started using Red Recover last year, my 4th year in the NFL. It just helps me on Mondays after games, get my recovery process started, get back into the fold of the week, and get ready for the following Sunday. And if you want to recover like me, use Red Recover.
You're locked into the only platform truly dedicated to South Florida sports. This is the MyEdgeDrink.com Miami Hurricanes Postgame Show, live from WalkOns Sports Bistro in Kendall on the SportsTalk305 Network. Here's your hosts, Orlando Alzugaray and Mike McCoy.
Right. There we go. Did they score Manny Diaz again?
Yep, there it is. A rushing touchdown, 60-plus yards. Yep, 48-17. Yep.
By the way, Tennessee now leading Alabama 28-17 with 3:39 left in the second, so they are making a comeback.
Still a game.
Georgia routing Vanderbilt 28-0. That is at halftime. Oklahoma State, come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. The number 8 team in the country is leading number 13 TCU. The Horned Frogs 24-10. Syracuse leading NC State with no quarterback 10-3. And it is at halftime right now. Syracuse, by the way, they're having them. Oh, Gadsden had another touchdown. I keep saying we must kidnap them and bring them to the Canes. That's all I'm saying. It's just one of those things. James Madison, by the way, leading Georgia Southern 17-14 since they are the number 25 team in the country. Michigan beat Penn State in honor of the Mad Dog 41-17, and they rushed for 418 yards on Manny Diaz's Penn State defense. Yes. Ole Miss, they defeated Auburn 48-34. So the number 9 team in the country rolls on. Number 19, Kansas, loses to Oklahoma 52-42.
Wow.
And the former Clemson defensive coordinator, he needed that win in a big-time way. They got walloped last week. Texas, number 22 in the country, they beat Iowa State. Keith Sims is crying somewhere in his milk right now, 24-21. We love you, Keith. Number 24, Illinois, the Illini. They win over Minnesota 26-14. It's pretty amazing. The Illini. How about that? They are 6-1 in Illinois.
Again, I'm just
Amazing.
Enamored, shocked, pick an adjective, whatever, of the amount of basketball schools in the top 25.
Well, there's more parity now than there's ever been. NILs, everything. The fact that you can play in small schools and you'll be noticed because tape gets out everywhere now.
Yeah.
It's not like you play in a small school and it's like, oh my God, I have a video tape that's grainy or whatever. And, now everybody's got, that's the beauty of ESPN3. You go to ESPN3 and you can watch any game in the country. And I don't care how small the schools are. And that's a beauty, man, that the technology has changed so much that it's helped us as viewers, but it's also helped the professional scouts being able to unearth talent, and that's just kind of the way it is. In the ACC, we told you about Syracuse and NC State. We have 2 other games in the ACC, and they're both this evening. 7:30, number 4 Clemson at Florida State. This place is going to be packed. Florida State fans are already coming in. And then at 8 o'clock, North Carolina is taking on Duke. That'll be on the ACC network. The Clemson-Florida State game will be on ABC. Okay? So there you go. And then next week, Miami will take on Duke. It'll be a 12:30 game. We, of course, will have our pre- and post-game show for you here. Sean, Mike, myself, we'll get you ready for that game starting off at 10:30. The doors open here at WalkOns at 11. Game starts at 12:30. After every quarter, we are going to have giveaways. And next week, we expect Edge Energy Drink to be here and the lovely ladies from Edge Energy Drink serving you some free tastings of Edge Energy Drink. So we've got that. Virginia is following the Duke game on the 29th of this month. Then you go on the 5th of November. They take on FSU at Hard Rock Stadium. That one to be determined. And I would imagine that it would be determined on how these two teams perform over the next couple of weeks. Then you've got at Georgia Tech on Saturday, November 12th. I would imagine that's going to be a 12:30 game. The Clemson game at Clemson, that one might be a little later just because you're playing a marquee team in Clemson. And then you'll wrap up the season versus Pitt at Hard Rock Stadium on November 26th. So that's the schedule. We'll be here for the pre- and post-game shows for every one of those games and hopefully even a bowl game. Let's hope that they can get to a bowl game. It would be nice to get to a bowl game.
Another note in the ACC.
Yeah, they're 4-3 now. Yes. Yeah. Oh no, they're gonna get bowl eligible. I think they will.
Another note.
And by the way, I think it's very important for Mario to at least get to a bowl game.
That goes without saying. But to your point about NC State, you brought them up a few times in the past, couple minutes. But for those of you that aren't aware, Devin Leary, one of the best quarterbacks, at least coming into the season in the country, is out for the season. Torn pec. And so that's a big deal. Number 15th ranked team in the country. Right now they're down 10-3. And that's a big deal. That may change the race of how things look in the ACC. But a lot of good games later on today. You talked about the NC State, Syracuse going on right now. Clemson at Florida State, Mississippi State, and Kentucky. That's going to be a good one. Mike Leach going up against forgetting the coach for Kentucky right now. Used to be the DB coach here at Miami. USC's at Utah. That's a top 20 matchup out in the Pac-12. And so there's still some good football to be played, especially in the top 25 later on in the day.
All right, we're not going to get Mario, unfortunately. So we are going to wrap it up here at Walk-Ons, and we will be back here next week starting off at 10:30 in the morning, getting you ready for the 12:30 kickoff against Duke. Again, we'll have all kinds of giveaways. So come on out here. Would love to meet you, take some pics, watch the games, talk some football, all that good stuff. We will be back tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, we get you ready for the Dolphins and the Vikings. We actually had some Vikings fans here watching the game. And so we'll be on tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. getting you ready for that 1 o'clock kickoff as Skylar Thompson and the Miami Dolphins look to upset the Minnesota Vikings, who are favored over the Dolphins heading into tomorrow's game. And, of course, the news is great. Tua and Teddy Bridgewater both cleared concussion protocol, so it seems Teddy will be ready to back up Skylar tomorrow. I still think the Reed Sinnott will get activated just in case, you know what I mean? Because of the bad luck that they've had with the quarterbacks and all of that. And then I would expect Tua to come back the following week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Isn't that a Sunday night game?
Is it?
Man, aren't you looking forward to that post game?
Wow.
And then waking up the following day to do the show again. Maybe we should have a Monday afternoon show. That's true. You got to wake up early to take the kid. Oof. So you got to be what? Really? Why? Oh, wow. You're a good dad. 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 But you're doing it for the right reasons. So that's all that matters. But wait a minute. Why don't you just bring them Friday to meet the racers? They won't be there on Friday? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's different. Yeah, that's different. Okay. All right. Because I've been down there and I get into the garages. Okay. All right. If I can make something happen, we'll make it happen. Anyway, we thank all of you out there for tuning in, supporting our amazing sponsors, coming out to support us out here at WalkOns. Soon we'll have a home for the Dolphins. You never know. Hell, they might be here at WalkOns down the line. But we will have a home for the Dolphins. We'll be in studio tomorrow for our pre- and post-game show starting off at 11 a.m. On behalf of my partner in crime here, Mike McCoy, doing an excellent job. Sean Stanley, we can't do it without him. Al Caballero, by the way, our sales guy who does an excellent job as always. Yanira, I got to thank you, Yanira. Joe, also all the great people out here that make it nice and easy for us to do our thing at WalkOns every week. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. right here on the platform, 7 days a week, baby, during football season. We've got you covered. We cover it like nobody else does in South Florida. Y'all be good out there all over the world. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a good one.
This has been the Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes Postgame Show on the Sports Talk 305 Network. Live from Walk-On Sports Bistro in Kendall. The show is mastered by Sean Stanley and Chad Shope. When you're looking for the finest energy drink on the planet, you can only get it delivered to your home or office by going to myedgedrink.com. Use your code Big O and get 10% off an energy drink that's delicious, smooth, and has zero aftertaste. Please subscribe to our platform by searching Big O Radio Show on all digital avenues. On behalf of our staff, we thank you for supporting us.